What? We're back on again tonight. Nobody canceled.
Dan renewed our subscription to YouTube this week, so we get to be on another week. Are you still paying for or you're still using your neighbor's YouTube live account, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And as soon as he passes away, we'll have to figure something out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. And you're still using his internet cord, right? And most of his power, right?
No big shakes.
That's
big shake.
That's the Wisconsin way.
It is.
I did see a Wisconsin car driving away from Austin, Texas today. Probably they were looking at the eclipse, and I thought about you.
Oh, that's so weird.
And then my day was ruined.
Well, if you haven't been Troy Crivolone, it wouldn't have been ruined. If you had an hour with any haunter, who would it be?
Oh, that's... See, that's hard because I've been doing this so long.
I know. That's why it's a fun question.
An hour to do whatever, or
not do talk.
Just do talk, learn from whatever.
And Ben Armstrong was someone that I've known since I was a teenager. Like, I first met Ben at like 15, and he's someone I always have looked up to. So I'll go with Ben Armstrong. That's the easy answer.
That's a good one. All right, you're the first one on the Haunted House Trade Show floor. What booth do you go to first, and what do you purchase? No dollar limit.
Well, I can definitely tell you like who I'm not buying from. That's easier. Gosh.
Oh, well, that's not one of the questions. That's for after hours.
That'll be next. That'll be next year's question.
There you go. I was gonna say.
Oh, that's a great idea, Troy. You want to be
That's really hard because it depends on the year. It depends what I'm looking for, and it depends like who fits that need. Like
you're excited. It's March. Well, I don't know. It's not March anymore. When is
next year's back to March. This year's February. Okay. Next year's March.
All right. So
but you're going to MHC next year. So
you're going to MHC. Let's talk about that. What are you looking forward to get? Who are you looking forward to see?
See, that's hard because too, I'm friends with so many vendors.
I know. You're going to piss somebody off because
it's like picking
between
like, your children of like, which is your favorite? Which is the one you want?
I have a favorite. I have 3 children.
I mean, that's fair. I work in mental health. I deal with that all the time. The ones you don't like are going to end up giving me business down the road for my day job.
Thank you, Katie.
I'm here to help. Nice gadget.
Update: all 3 of his kids go to Katie for mental health.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many. Like I always love seeing the new stuff like Froggy's has. I love seeing what Beastcraft Studios.
You're so political, Katie. You're so political.
He's towing the line. I like it. I like it. It's a true haunter.
Why can't you just be like Kevin Alvey and say you want to go to Gorgalore when you walk in the door? I mean seriously.
I love Kevin as well. Like some of my favorite props I've acquired with like haunts I've worked in have been Gorgalore props, whether it be a giant stalkabout or the puppets. Like,
yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's me walking the rat around at Akron.
Mm-hmm. See. Yeah, you're skirting this question, and I'll allow it. I will allow it. All
right.
I'm not going to allow.
Here, I'll just say here, Evolutions. Evolutions is my favorite. There we go.
That is perfect. Well done.
There you go.
Well done. All right. Now you can't skirt this one.
Okay.
This one's a black and white. Black or white? Black and white. There's only one answer to this. Troy or Dan?
Troy, obviously.
Ah, see, look, that was easy.
Because Troy's going to sit with me and Tater at the kids' table.
Damn right.
Yes, I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you did there. Well done. Well done. I'll look for you to unfriend me when we're done with this. All right.
You two kids.
I hope that somebody marks this so that Tater can see that. Love you, Tater. Love you. 5 questions. Are you ready to go?
All right, let's do this.
5 questions. If you had 1 hour with any haunter, who would it be?
Derek Young, Ben Oaks.
Oh,
That's a good one.
yes.
All right. You're the first one on any haunted house trade show floor. What's the first vendor you go to and what do you buy? No limit.
Froggies and all the fog machines I can take home in my suitcase.
There you go. They do have. I bet you that if you buy a bunch of them, you probably get free shipping. So
Yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about
Have you seen how far it is up to Canada?
Yeah, no, there's no free shipping to Canada.
hey,
That's the only problem.
When you take my dog sled, it's expensive.
You have to get on your what? You already got a line on U-Hauls. Come on.
all right. Question number 3: Troy or Dan?
Oh, see, I'm not a fan of bald guys, so definitely Dan.
What are you talking about? I'm not bald.
You are the man. It's already been said. I appreciate you. I appreciate. Troy, you counted your eggs before they were hatched.
I even saw his
Like,
house.
Corey, we had our fun. We made our video. Like, we've had our experiences. We're good.
We're good.
It's
He's
Dan's
moved
turn.
on.
It's
He's
Dan's
moving
turn.
on. He's moved on. I'm the new toy.
God.
5 minutes with Joshua Washington, Ashton.
Susie, you feeling uncomfortable yet?
I'm fine.
your
I'm
panties.
honestly, I live with gay guys. So if you guys want to hook up
I
and
will
do your
send-
thing,
I will
I
send
don't
you a
care.
pair of Haunt Hour panties for that answer. So
Yes,
we can
for free. Free shipping. As many as you can put in your purse.
Well, would you look at that? It's Tuesday night, and we're all set to kick off the Haunt Hour right now. Brought to you tonight by Haunt Collective. And here's the lowdown on your Haunt Hour crew. Susie Fleesick, she's the sassiest sass-spot around. Troy Crivello, totally amazing in every way. And Dan Doble, sweet as apple pie. And tonight's guest is set to bring some real chills, Drew Badger. Well, alright, cats and kittens, park your keisters, grab your suds, and dig this. Welcome to the Haunt Tower. Let's get ready to rumble with some spine-chilling thrills, because tonight, we're gonna have a blast.
Wait. First of all, thank you for putting Gus in there. I appreciate that. Second of all, what did you say? I can't even remember now. It's like
There was a lot going on in that intro.
That
There
was
was a lot. I did
There was a lot going on.
call Susie a sassy sasspot.
yeah.
Sasspot.
It's just-
Sasspot. I like that.
Sasspot. I don't know.
Good Lord.
Better than other
Good
things you
Lord.
could say.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to another fantastic Haunt Hour, season 4, episode 5.
And Dan got his hair cut, or
I got
did I
it.
miss that
Yeah.
last week?
Susie?
Yeah, welcome
Susie,
to
I got
this
it cut
week.
last week.
I'm sorry, but I'm new here. Hi. It's my first night,
Look at that.
and nice to see everyone. I don't even know who the hell you are.
Look at that.
Like,
Look at
8
that.
inches off. Has to be 8 inches. Hi.
Yeah, that's
I know what
Well,
8 inches is,
Yeah.
she's bad.
and Dan had 8 inches cut off his hair.
There's about 8 inches here.
No, 8 inches cut off.
Oh.
What? Well,
It's
80
sad.
what?
Every guy is like, oh,
Oh, ouch. And we'll be giving away a set of Haunt Hour panties tonight.
yes. As usually. Yes. Very good
15
shot.
more points towards the Haunt Hour.
Sean's
Good
the
Lord.
first member of our Haunt Tower loyalty club with the rewards card and everything.
Yeah. We
He's
send out a
he's
box
ungiven.
actually.
He's getting
Every
his,
month we
he's
send
getting
out a
his peaches.
box, and you get a
Good
pair of
panties.
panties. You don't know whose you're getting. It's either Dan's, Troy's, or mine.
Oh, I thought you were
So-
talking about what kind of box we're getting.
You get a pair of panties in the box
Ah,
Oh,
that are used by one of
It-
us. You just
it-
don't know whose.
Yeah.
it's
you'll
absolutely
know right when you open them.
Absolutely.
because one of them will smell like Taco Bell.
Oh, gross!
That's so gross. Canceled.
Yeah.
Canceled.
Sean has left.
Return to sender. Why does this smell like burritos?
Oh man, that's awful.
They're all
Anyway.
ladies' panties, though. It doesn't mean that they're men's and women's. They're all ladies' panties. You just have to smell them and try to figure out it.
They might even be,
That's
they might even be haunt scene panties or big scary show panties or Haunter's Toolbox panties. You never know.
Could be.
Because you're a glutton for punishment, Bartley. So Susie missed last week because she was under the weather and she was getting another tattoo for her 75th time. That's why she's tatted up Susie. We did not know that she has more tattoos than like that Sideshow Oddity guy that's like tattooed from head to toe. Susie actually puts on makeup to cover the tattoos on her face and her neck so that she's not that person. So the things you don't know about people when you've never met them before.
Very true.
Because neither me nor Dan have met her yet.
Yeah, the truth is I missed because the eclipse had me like in a chokehold.
It did.
It just had like a hold of me, so I couldn't. I know it happened yesterday, but for weeks I've been feeling the pull, the gravitational pull of the solar eclipse, and I was not myself last week, so I did you all a favor and just didn't do the show. So you're welcome.
That's good. I got to watch the eclipse from my driveway at my new house in Josephine, Texas, which is the whole reason I moved. Newsflash. I moved here just for the eclipse.
Right,
Were you in the path of totality?
The exact, I was in the line, 20 minutes south of me was the exact dead middle of the line. So it was 4 minutes and 10 seconds or something like that I got. At the exact moment that it did this, the mailman came by with his headlights on and his little headlamp because he couldn't see anything.
That's cute.
It was all the street lights came on, all the crickets started chirping more, the rooster.
So was it dark? Was it black?
Yeah, no, it was like 8 o'clock right now, dark. So
okay,
it was dark enough for everything to turn on and for you to need headlights and everything. And I had just drove back to my house from working and it was daylight and it was what? This is weird. So my son was homesick. And so I said, hey, let's go out here. And he goes, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Out in Wisconsin, it was 92% covered.
Okay.
So it was like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
That's a horse.
But my wife went with my son. They took a day road trip and drove to Indiana. Which is 5 hours away, 4.5 hours away from us, so that they could get in the path of totality, so they could see it. So
this is what it looked like about 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
And then, he was supposedly sick, but he wasn't sick enough to eat to not eat the Taco Bell, so that's good.
So they had school because around here we had the public schools got out 2 hours early because ours was at dismissal time. Ours was at like 2:30. Well, I think our peak was 3:10 and we were at 91% where I live. My daughter's school had a flex day. They just did online work. So she didn't have school. But my town was absolutely nuts. The coffee shop was like a Saturday, and that's saying something. Our numbers were absolutely crazy. People were going nuts. We had two drinks that were like solar eclipse drinks. We had like a lunar and a solar. And so of course that brought people in because we were like, we're only doing it for this one day only. But I'll tell you what, we went to the roof of the building to watch the eclipse. It was so cloudy in PA. Anybody in Pennsylvania watching this, you know what I mean? Just cloud coverage.
Every day.
But right at 3, that's every day in PA, exactly. 3:10, 3:11, the clouds parted just like a tiny bit. And we all threw our glasses on. We could see it for 30 seconds. So I did get to see it, but it never got dark, but it's always dark here. So, we're under constant clouds.
They even say at 99.99%, you'll still have a lot of light.
Yeah, you've got to be in totality.
How bright that damn sun is. But yeah, I mean, with us, it was very dark.
You're in the shadow.
Yeah, we were literally right, right in it. our kids, yes, they did have school. We were one of the only school districts around this area to have school.
Oh,
and
really?
It proved to be the kids absolutely loved doing it. They all went out on the football field and all got to see it, stuff like that. And my daughter said she loved being out there with her friends. And they said the reason, and Texas did this all over. I know other states did too. They said, well, because of safety issues and because of the traffic, the immense amount of traffic there would be, the kids would never get home from school that day. Well, I drove around, and I'm part of several. Ironically, I'm part of several Facebook groups around here, and with us being in the totality line, there was nobody here. There was no traffic. There was, I would say 70% less traffic than ever before at that time. And the schools wouldn't have been let out for almost another hour and a half after the totality was over. And so there was no reason for these kids to be out of school. So there's lots of people who are like, well, I wanted to watch it with my kids and stuff like that, which is, which is fine. Our school did say that it would be an unexcused absence because it's not a reason not to be in school. There were some schools that were open and said you could take it off, it doesn't need to be an unexcused absence. It definitely could have just been, hey, we're going to spend the day with my kids. Okay, that's fine. Family comes first. That's a big Texas thing, family. And so I kind of figured that wouldn't be an issue if people did stay home. But to me, they missed an opportunity for education with like a science teacher and stuff like that. Logan had a bunch of questions for me, and I was able to answer some of them. I've already been through one of them back in 2017, but and I'm sure when I was a kid too. But there were questions he asked that I was like, I don't know. I think and so science teacher would have been able to answer that. Hopefully,
or Google. I mean,
right. But we were out there right at that moment, and the science teacher could have been saying, "Okay, this is this, this is this, this is what this is doing."
So, what time was it for you?
1:40.
Okay.
And our kids were out of school till 4:30.
Yeah, so. I was under the impression that they did it because for us it was like right at dismissal time, and they were afraid that the kids were going to be like leaving school and people would be like driving looking up and everybody would be distracted. And I think the school also doesn't want any responsibility for anything happening on that day, so they're just like,
sure,
don't
it
come.
Does make sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the liability issue for sure.
Yeah, it's just different. Different.
It was definitely weird driving around and seeing all these people just in extremely random spots. Like they were in parking lots, they were, in front of the house, just all like this. It's so weird just driving around and nobody else is looking forward. Everybody's.
That's like a disaster movie or something.
Right,
That's creepy. Yeah.
Right. So,
wow.
So yeah, that was, it was awesome. It was something definitely to see. So we all made it. We all survived the rapture. Or we're aliens that have been taken over.
Are we here really? Is this really me?
Well, I guess it is.
You're gonna have to believe it. They swapped me out with somebody with a bunch of tattoos.
Right. Biker Susie, her alter ego. But there's always next time, which is 2044, 2045, and it goes kind of
something like that.
It kind of goes through like Oklahoma and Colorado and down to Florida. So, I think I'll be 62.
You can see another total eclipse August 2nd, 2027 over the Egyptian pyramids.
Oh, I'm going.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. Or another one on August 12th of 2026 in Iceland and Spain. That's a colder trip, I guess.
Sounds legit.
My wife is a huge eclipse buff, so she's.
Oh, so you have a list there. They were talking about the next one in the United States being like going through Disney and how expensive Disney World tickets are going to be because it's going through Florida.
Yeah.
So the next one that goes through America, through the majority of it, is 2044 through Montana, and then 2045 from California all the way over to Miami. And I can already tell you right now, Disney has already increased prices for that day.
Oh, already. Absolutely.
Like it's going to be outrageous.
That's what they were saying. They were like the most expensive Disney you'll ever take. I'm like, why would you even want to be there for that?
I would rather go to like Colorado Springs or something like that. Go to some place you've never been.
Man.
go somewhere, like, I mean, I'm already thinking about going to Tulsa. It's only about 4 hours from me.
Yeah.
But
or Joshua Tree. Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So, we have a few more chances here. And then 2052, you can go to southern Georgia or northern Florida.
I don't like this map. I don't like this map because look, it says 2099. Like, I don't like that.
Give a shit
well,
about
this one says 2106.
I like that because I'm not going to be around.
This is
my daughters are going to be
through here.
Listen,
but I love
my
how
daughters are going to be getting tattoos of the shit I say on their bodies.
Right.
2099.
There's actually only I quickly looked. There's only 3 states that won't get an eclipse in the next 100 some odd years, and it's Washington, Arizona, and New Mexico. Sucks to be in those states, I guess.
All right. Are we done talking about the eclipse?
Yeah, we are. I think we're up to
haunting news.
Haunting news.
What's going on in Haunt World this
I didn't really find a lot
this week.
Because we're all kind of in the middle of nothing season until like halfway to Halloween, and we have 2 conventions this month too. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I did notice this Boneyard Effects. Larry Bones, longtime haunter out of California, is selling everything as a package. Please stop messaging him and asking for individual pieces. He's put 2 posts up about that. So there's all kinds of molds and equipment, tools, all that kind of stuff. There's several people who have expressed interest, but you never know.
Wonder what he'd sell like individual pieces for.
Dan?
Oh my God, he just said he wasn't.
Dan Double. How dare you?
I'm here all week.
I thought you were serious.
Never serious.
Oh my goodness.
So yep, I it sucks to see somebody leave. I have noticed in the past couple of years he's tried to put things together. Larry has over there in California put together a couple events here and there, and either California's gotten in the way or it's just been issues on top of issues, and so I think a little bit of defeat has happened, which is sad. We don't want to see people in the industry lose their passions like that. So I hope it's for more of a retirement reason than a everybody's beating me down reason. So, but if you're in California or you're in the market for effects and FX stuff, then there you go.
There you go.
Let's see. I think now we're going to move on to
Facts.
What's
that stand for?
Facts. Stands for Federal Administration of Conventions and Trade Shows. There's a trade shows. There was an obvious pause in between the 2 words. So sometime this weekend there's Fear Expo, and then also Midwest Haunters is now open for registration.
Okay, so next, moving on.
That was your thing for that, and I think next up we have. Oh, this is going to be good.
What about the DIY of the week? It's Troy.
I don't know why there's a dog on there.
I like it. Leave it there.
So this is actually not. So while I'm pulling up the right one here, I mean it is. Look at Troy. He's so young.
That is old ass hellmouth.
It's very old. So I was at a. Oh, I forgot to pull this one up too. I was at a.
God damn it!
I know, right? I was at my first Texas Make and Take this weekend.
Oh,
fun.
And during it, we were talking about different things to do with your foam, like making tombstones, stuff like that. And the lady who was running it works for Six Flags in Texas, does a lot of the scenic design and stuff like that. She mentioned that you need to put lichen and moss and stuff like that on your tombstones. And so I was like, yeah, moss is really easy to get and stuff like that. And another person that was there, Kelly, she said, oh, Hellmouth has a video of how to make like a mossy paste. using fake moss and paint. And so you mix it all up and you actually use a blender.
Oh.
You use the blender to actually mix up, because you put all that.
Oh, there's the dog again. It's a different dog.
There's so many.
Okay, so wait, what is in that bowl?
So it's actual. It's actual moss, it's like the store-bought, fake moss
and paint.
And once this stupid ad is done, look, we get another one.
Don't ever call a dog stupid.
The ads are stupid. Okay, so you put the moss that's all stringy, and you put it into the blender. And he's actually telling you not to use your wife's blender. So
I was just going to say Walmart.
Yeah, and you chop it up into little bits, and then you get this nice paste that you can mix.
Wait, so the paint isn't in the blender?
No, just the moss.
It's in
so
natural. Okay.
And then you're
chopping
putting
up the moss to make it fine.
Yeah.
It's like the consistency of. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yes. See, that's good.
Well, dang.
Yeah. So it's lots of people will try to do it with like airbrushing, or they'll do it with like a sponge and stuff like that. But you can actually use fake moss and make it look like use the paste. So this might be easier for people who maybe are afraid of airbrushing. That's me. Hi, my name's Troy. I have not dabbled in it yet, and I sucked at it when I did try. So this is something that you can definitely check out. We'll of course put it on our DIY playlist and on Facebook here later this evening. And of course you can check out Hellmouth, who's now Beyond 1031 is his new channel name, and he did break the record. So he is now the world record, will be the world record holder for most consecutive vlogs ever.
Really?
So it's by the July 9th. July 9th is his 5,000th video. And he's doing it live at a place in Washington. And so he will actually have the record for it, and he's going to probably go till at least the 5,000, so that it's pretty much held forever. So he's getting
forever a long time, Mr. Cooper.
Right. Yep. So
anti-ways.
But yes, we did do a fantastic make and take, and I'm actually trying to find the video of it real fast, because we did something really cool that we actually had a previous guest on last year, or I think it was last year. Tony DiMatteo we had on here from Halloween on Ambush, and he, if you remember, he lit his foam on fire. Remember this video?
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah. And then he sprays it with the fluid, and then whoosh, whoosh. Okay. So here is our version of it.
Oh, fun. Troy with the camera. It's by the pool for safety reasons, correct?
Safety, of course, yes.
Obviously.
Come on, pull the trigger. Come on, pull the trigger. Yep, that didn't work out too well.
It did though. Now
did it?
Wait, does it go out on its own?
Yep.
Yes.
So there were two things. One, we didn't have the spray stuff.
And
we had literal alcohol in a spray bottle. But this now made it the consistency of a vacuum form panel.
Oh, so it's rock hard.
It's rock hard, and it's just as thin as a vacuum form panel. So that was the 1/2-inch foam. The guy Tony used, I think his was like
1 or 2 inch. Yeah, it was thick,
not thicker. So yeah, we needed to do the misting of the actual stuff, not spraying with the spray bottle, and then thicker foam. But if you wanted something this thin, that works too, because now it's as thin as a vacuum form panel, and you can attach it to a piece of wood or whatever you want to do it with. So
interesting.
So yeah, the first ever Texas
did you try painting it?
Huh?
Did it paint well? Did it take paint?
We were just doing showing how to carve into foam and make bricks and wood and cobblestone and things like that into it. So what tools we use to do it. So yeah, my first make it take in Texas, and we're lighting shit on fire.
Awesome. Gotta love it. Everything's bigger and better in Texas, right?
Damn right. You are correct, sir. So I think being correct all the wait, hold on.
Oh God.
That was awful. Wait, hold on a second.
Hold on.
Wait,
what do we have to what do we have to explain to Susie?
Zoom in on this.
Explain this to me.
We have okay, there. Okay, if you look at Daryl's goatee.
What? Oh shit!
Do you have any questions?
It looks like a question mark.
Do you have any questions?
Oh my God. Okay, so wait, did you bring this up last week?
Oh my God, did we ever? Did we bring this up? Come on now.
You guys, did he ever had anybody ever said anything to him about it?
Not until he looked at it and we pointed it out. and after talking to him, I'm sure he shaved his goatee off.
Oh yeah,
my everybody's
God.
Gonna have a question.
Corinne was the one that noticed it. And she was like, he's got the Riddler on his goatee.
Yeah. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh my God. It's so awesome. God. It's so awesome.
That is cool. We have to ask him if he still has it.
I know, right?
Maybe he dyed his entire beard. He probably
or shaved it off. It was fantastic. I mean,
that's
it was
cool.
It was a great whoopsies.
Whoopsies. You know who else has a fantastic beard game?
And has lots of questions.
My good friend Drew Badger and his question mark.
Welcome to the show, Drew.
How do you do? Or should I say howdy, because that's how they do it in Texas.
Howdy.
We don't have to make Troy's head bigger than it already is.
Okay.
No, we probably shouldn't. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Oh, just glad that I survived the apocalypse out here. So
I thought it was apocalypse.
Apocalypse?
Who knows? I saw it in 17 in the Path of Totalitarian, whatever it is. So, I've been there, done that. I went outside, saw the little crescent-shaped sunlight coming through the trees, and then I went home. So there you go.
There you go.
No planes fell out of the sky. Nobody had human sacrifices around here, and don't think I wasn't slightly disappointed about that.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
But it is what it is.
You're not alone.
Yeah. So, you've watched the show before, so you kind of already know the game plan here. But I don't think that I've ever really sat down and talked with you about you. I've listened to your show a bunch of times. And
we appreciate that.
Maybe other people have asked you these questions. I don't know. They're not as cool as us. So we are going to start from the very beginning. Let's talk about you in your childhood. Everything about Halloween that you grew up with, how you got into it. Did you get out of it? All the awesome history stuff of Drew Bradley.
Oh, geez.
Oh, and then after we do that, I want to talk about the podcast too.
It goes back a long way, over 50 years.
Well.
Earliest childhood memory, Halloween-wise, I was 4 years old, going trick-or-treating with neighborhood friends.
Yeah.
And the only reason I really remember it was because they had one of those cardboard skeletons that had the posable arms and everything hanging on the front door. And if you wanted to get trick-or-treat treats, you had to shake hands with the skeleton. So that's what I remember. I was like, okay, I'm shaking hands with a skeleton. Give me my candy, please. And so, 4 years old, what else are you thinking about on Halloween other than candy? So,
right.
Yep.
But I worked in my very first haunted house way back in 1977, where I was, quote unquote, volunteered by my elementary school to work our Halloween carnival's Tunnel of Terror.
I love it.
Which was basically about as lame as you thought it would be. It was, excuse me, it was a bunch of refrigerator boxes that were laying on the ground, taped together in one of those trailers that every kid who grew up in the 70s probably remembers at their school.
Oh my
God! And you had to crawl through the trailers. Or to crawl through the refrigerator boxes in the trailer. There were 2 of them taped together. Then there was one vertical, and then you had to crawl through the other 2, and that was the tunnel. And inside the tunnel, all the 1st and 2nd graders had to draw little pictures of ghosts and witches and monsters and things. And of course, pretty lame. So after about 30 minutes, people stopped coming through the tunnel of terror. And we were like, oh, geez, what are we going to do here? So I told my buddy, I was like, I got an idea. And I'm years old at the time. I was like, go to the cafeteria, get a bowl of ketchup, and come right back. I was like, and he went. Shocked he did. I walked into the tunnel to the stand-up refrigerator box, and back when you could pull a pocket knife out at school, I pulled out my trusty little Schrade pocket knife, which I still own, and cut 2 holes on either side of the vertical refrigerator box. He came back. We slathered ketchup all over our arms, and gotta love this, the very next group that came through the tunnel of terror was a pack of 3 6th grade girls. And if you know anything about pre-adolescent girls, if you're a haunt actor, they are crack to actors. If you're between the ages of 12 and 19, you are actor crack.
Yes.
So anyway, they started crawling through, and they're giggling and whatever. When they got to the part where the vertical refrigerator box was, my friend and I stuck our arms through. We couldn't reach them because we were standing. They were lying on the ground, whatever. Started going, and waving these bloody arms around. The screams were tremendous. And within 10 minutes, we had a line out the trailer waiting for people to come into the tunnel of terror until a teacher found out. And we basically had to shut it down at that point.
Oh, no.
Which was a shame. But I learned 2 very important parts of the haunt industry at the tender age of 10 years old that time. One is that you can tweak a haunted attraction and make it infinitely better. You don't have to do anything major. And 2, ketchup is horrible as blood, especially when it dries on your arms and you've got newly growing hair there, and having to scrub that with one of those SOS pads. Not pleasant when you're 10 years old.
No.
So that was one of my earlier fond memories.
I love that story.
I love it.
It's absolutely true. And I have witnesses that can back that up.
I didn't doubt it for 1 second.
But I can remember fondly going out with all the neighborhood kids. I grew up in suburbia outside of Raleigh, North Carolina back in the day. And we literally would get together in October and plan our route. Our neighborhood did a certain pattern. And we like, well, if we go down this street, you go up that way, we'll go this way. We tried to maximum trick-or-treating efficiency. We had walkie-talkies. It was like, okay, who's giving out the full-size candy bars? Who's giving out the apples? Who's got the lights off this year? And it was like freaking covert ops doing this. There was a group of about 10 of us that did this every single year until we were probably in our early teens. And then some of them started getting into the destruction stuff of kicking over pumpkins and stuff. And I was like, I'm done with that. Yeah. I was not for the discussion. I like my jack-o'-lanterns, and I don't like to see people blowing them up or sticking pine straw in them to watch the flames come up or anything like that. So, but, I went through high school, college. I helped build, dorm room haunts and Boy Scout trails and church group trails of Halloween terror and all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming a lot of people probably did that kind of stuff, and didn't become a professional, quote unquote, getting paid to do it actor until 2002, when I started working at Scarowinds, which at the time was owned by Paramount. It was the Carowinds theme park's Halloween version. Right after 9/11 happened in 2001, everybody was kind of depressed and kind of like, you remember if you remember. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, let's go to Carowinds and check out this brand new Halloween thing that they started in 2000. and went through. Mind completely blown away. You know, I was so used to Boy Scout haunts and church group haunts and JC's haunts and stick your hand through the little curtain and feel the brains and the eyeballs and all that stuff. And suddenly I'm seeing these giant monster animatronics and professional paid actors and, you know, crazy scenery and everything. And my mind just completely was like, that's what I'm doing from now on. My life has been transformed forever. 2002, I got hired, worked there for 7 years, started training actors around 2005. There was a core group of about 10 people who had been there the first couple of years. And, you know, when these new people would come in, they're like, well, what should we do in this haunt? Or, you know, you worked in this house. What works? What doesn't work? And teaching just was real easy for me. And, you know, I started training people and some of the people in that core group started training the entire, you know, theme park acting group. And around that time, 2005, 2006, we got bought out by Cedar Point, and they immediately put an awful lot of money into it. They brought in a lot of bureaucracy, and it got to be almost a chore to work there. You know, no offense to the people who worked at Scarowinds at the time. They're a great bunch of people. I'm still friends with many of the actors. But I realized that I could probably go off and train actors and make more money in a weekend than I could in an entire season of working there.
Right.
So I started my own consulting company in 2009. And I've been training actors. I've been helping design haunted houses. I have been, you know, doing voice work for radio and TV and internet ads basically ever since. And around that time, 2007, 2008, I got involved with an old podcast, which is kind of what led me to, you know, the world of podcasting. I was hooked up with a friend of mine who was one of the original people at Scarowinds, and she was, you know, a contributing member to this podcast. And it was really cool to listen and find out what things were going on in Ohio and Florida and Texas and Washington State. And, you know, it was like, you know, wow, there's haunted houses all over the country, and they're nothing like what I'm seeing here. You know, there's mom and pops and there's big giant places. I started hearing words like Netherworld and, you know, Haunted Overload and, you know, Statesville Haunted Prison. And I was like, wow, I need to start visiting these things. And that kind of led me into my podcasting thing. I found out that, you know, I was a decent enough interview person. You know, I've worked in radio off and on for 30 plus years, so I know how to talk to somebody reasonably. And when the other podcast went under or kind of went away in 2012, there were 4 of us that decided we probably aren't ready to stop podcasting yet. So that's where we formed the Big Scary Show on, well, actually, in 3 days, it will be our 12th anniversary. So until otherwise proven, we are the longest running, to my knowledge, Halloween industry podcast in the world. So I enjoy that. You know, I train actors at haunted houses all over from the Carolinas to California and Florida up to Canada. And I have that going strong. This is looking to be one of my best years ever. And we're getting ready to celebrate our 12th anniversary on the show. So, you know, covering conventions and going to haunts and interviewing people and going to horror cons and interviewing celebrities, that's kind of what we do. So that's basically my bio right there. So questions?
And you've got Storm.
We have Storm, Jason Storm up in Rhode Island. We have Meat Hook Jim Millspa, who is in just outside Cincinnati. And we used to have Jerry Vane, the Haunstrumentalist. He was a founding member, but we say he's on hiatus. He may come back at some point. We'd love to have him back, but he's out in Colorado right now doing his thing, still playing a lot of music, and we play a lot of his music on the show. In fact, I think the current show is all the music is from Jerry. And couple of years ago, we added Jonna Summers from Fayetteville, Arkansas, the owner of Banshee Manor. And we've been going strong ever since. Storm does Haunt Minute, where he rants about things. Jim talks about various things in his little Between the Corpses segment. And Jonna is our Ask the Old Crone and Ask an Actual Haunted House Owner segment. So if you actually have a question about running a haunted house, she's the person to do it. And I do the news. And Troy, I was a little surprised you said this is the do nothing time. I've got 4 pages of news I'm ready to read for Big Scary News, which is coming out
Sounds like
Thursday.
You're calling him out. Dang.
Well,
okay.
So a little behind the curtain here. Years ago, when we started this show, I told Dan and Susie that their job was to find some news every week. You have to find a piece of news to bring to the show, and none.
Hey, I'm just a pretty face.
You're just we need help with that too.
You're a very handsome man, Dan.
I have a face for radio.
so I think it's honestly, that's where we are not here for the news. We are not here as a news dispensary. We have people like you who do that very well. Every once in a while, I've gotten news from various sources and things like that. But the three of us are very busy, and so trying to catch news as it comes up. But that's
what we have you for, Drew.
Right. How do you go about getting your news for each week or each?
I have a lot of people that send us a lot of stuff.
Okay.
News@bigscaryshow.com for people who still use email.
Yep.
People tell me, we've got this halfway to Halloween event coming up, or we just had a passing in our haunt family, and we'll have one this week, unfortunately. And, sometimes you have to farm it out. Sometimes you have to look for it. There's a lot of news out there on Facebook and Instagram and, various websites that, after all this time, you kind of know what and who to look at, because there are people who are very prolific in putting out news. Hey, come check out our Christmas. Come check out our Valentine's Day. Come check out our halfway to Halloween. And, they're plastered all over social medias and the webs.
Right.
And then there are people that you really kind of have to dig down and find. Go to trade shows. We talk to a lot of people. We go to conventions. We talk to a lot of people. And sometimes, they'll send us a tip, or they'll say, hey, this is coming up and we would love for you to give us a little free information and a free plug. And we're like, that's what we do. So we plug the information and they're happy with it and we're happy with it. And we've been able to do it for a long time. So
he's even mentioned Terror Tours before. I'm just saying.
They just don't post a lot, so I don't
mention. Terror Tours doesn't post anything ever.
No, not as much as they should, but that's okay. We can make up some stuff to fill in the gaps.
There you go.
It's like Terror Tours, these dates.
That's right. Hey,
and more information coming soon.
Oh, believe me, I'll be sending out a press release as soon as these bus companies stop trying to charge me $10,000 for buses.
Oof.
So
we won't get into that. I
right?
No,
my spreadsheet is not pretty looking. So Dan, what questions do you have for the podcast guru?
How do you do it? How do you keep going? It's been 12 years, and I can tell you right now, I rely solely on Troy to keep Haunt Tower going, and I don't know how he does it. How do you? And we're on we're on year 4.
Yep.
But 12 years, man, and you don't stop. Like, how do you find inspiration, and how do you keep moving forward in the off seasons of non-Halloween?
Well. 10 years ago, you could say there was an off season for Halloween. You really can't say that anymore.
No. That's true.
I believe Alan Hops said it last year at Transworld at one of the meetings. He was like, the haunt industry is where the tattoo industry was 20 years ago. A lot of people knew about it it wasn't as well accepted, and you still kind of looked at those people like,
right.
No offense to Susan. But there is so much interest in Halloween and haunted houses now, especially the off-season things. Look at the big haunted houses that are putting out Christmas events and Valentine's Day events. I've probably got 7 or 8 haunted attractions coming out this week on Big Scary News that are doing halfway to Halloween events. 3-4 years ago, there may have been 2.
Right.
There is no real off season anymore. I mean, January, you've got HauntCon, February, and next year, end of February, Transworld going into March.
Yep.
Back around 2010, 2011, every convention was in April or May.
Right.
You had Transworld, then you had National, you had West Coast, you had Canadian, you had, Halloween Extreme. You had all these conventions like every weekend, and then you ended with MHC in June. Then it was build season for 2 months, and then there was the season, and that was it.
Yeah.
But you don't have that anymore. Right. And that's just the way that Halloween has become such an integral part of American and world culture. You were at Transworld. You saw people from all over the world there.
I did.
You go to IAPA, you've got people from all over the world, not just for the haunt reasons, but, the entertainment industry in itself is just huge.
Yeah.
And I think people are, looking for things to do that are fun and exciting and cool and maybe a little bit adrenaline producing, and Halloween fits all of those.
Right.
So I think there's a very big need, even for people who never think about Halloween until October.
Right.
I think there's those people are looking at like, halfway to Halloween.
Right.
That might be an interesting date night.
Yep.
And I'm not even getting into horror cons and fantasy cons and sci-fi cons, which are on every single weekend in the United States. There's at least a dozen of them, it seems.
Yep.
Halloween's big business now. It's growing faster than Christmas. It's the second largest holiday in the United States and is growing at a much faster rate than Christmas is growing. Christmas is kind of played out. It's Santa or it's religion. But I mean, with Halloween, you've got the Krampus for Christmas. You've got, vampires for Valentine's Day. You've got Dia de los Muertos for November. You've got evil leprechauns for March. It's, Storm is always complaining that there's not been a good Arbor Day haunt yet, but I'm sure at some point somebody's going to put out some evil tree kind of haunt, and we'll have an Arbor Day haunt, hopefully.
I think you should just leave it alone.
It's probably going to be Alan. If anybody does a tree haunt, it's going to be Alan, because he'll make some spooky trees all over his haunt. I actually went to one on Saturday night. I went to Afterlife, and because they had their solar eclipse haunt.
Their eclipse haunt, along with Dark Hours. So.
Yep. They were the only 2 in America that I could find. I asked around, and nobody else had any. I'm sure there maybe were a few around, other than like Mortem Manor. There were, the line, there was a line on Saturday night, and then they were also opened, I think they were either open Friday or Sunday night as well. And it was an awesome haunt, by the way, my first time there. But the Dark Hour one had plenty of attendance. So the need for that type of entertainment, irregardless of whether or not it's spooky stuff, is absolutely there throughout the year. Way more than.
Do you think though that too much is there? Like, Drew said that there is like the Christmas is like tapped out, like it's been overdone or whatever words used. Do you feel like that could happen for the haunt industry? I mean, I feel like there's so many, like you said, avenues to take with Halloween versus Christmas. However, as somebody in the industry, and this is probably why I feel this way, it's a lot. And I feel like sometimes it's too much. I'm not sure how an eclipse haunt would do around here. It might just be my area. I don't know, as an owner, would it be worth it for me to hire actors for the weekend to have an eclipse haunt here whenever I probably maybe might not even make enough money to make my payroll? Like, I don't know. I could be wrong. I mean, people might
where, like with
swarm.
Dark Hour, they are open.
I feel like Dark Hour. I mean, that should be the only haunt that's open. I mean, literally, the name of the haunt is a freaking eclipse.
Exactly.
I mean,
it makes absolutely like you can't not be open. It would be a crime. But yeah, I just feel like
Afterlife didn't do anything Eclipse,
it was just
it wasn't related to it. Dark Hour did do a dark-ish. They had some low light and stuff like that, and they had people coming at you and things like that. So it was definitely a dark haunt, but you don't need to theme it like for the eclipse. There's no way you can theme that other than being dark. For Leprechaun, for St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, things like that, you can add that element to it. But you can, Alan used to open up in the summer, in July, for Dog Days of Summer. It was a werewolf theme, but it was literally just in a week in Friday and Saturday in July. No reason, just the fact that then they could be open. And
I like that.
These buildings aren't getting any cheaper, but somebody like you who's never been open outside of Halloween or maybe Christmas, that might be tough for you because nobody knows that you're going to do it. So bringing them in and getting them used to it, where Alan has been doing that for years. So everybody in Dallas knows several times a year I can go to Dark Hour.
Before Alan became an owner, they did 8 shows a year before Halloween. And each show was completely different. Broke down, rebuilt from scratch. The difference between Valentine's Day and Walpurgisnacht and Dog Days of Summer, a Christmas Sleigh, or whatever the names that have. But even he, a few years ago, cut it back, I believe, to 5 or 6 because again, that was very taxing on him, his staff, the money. And now that he's the owner, he was not the owner at the time, and it's his money, as he has told us recently on the show. When it's your money, it's a whole different ball game.
Oh my God, those words.
Well, that's why he's coming up with like the idea to do like for St. Patrick's Day, it was you had to dance with the leprechauns or you had to make a joke and you got a coin. Well, then these banshees tried to take them from you, or the red leprechaun would try to take you from it. The banshees would be able to, if they saw you, so you had to like stand there and not move. So he made it hugely interactive, along with the serial killer ones, where you get to run through and try not to be got by their 13 different people. And so he made it 100% interactive. And you had a task as the attendee, not just going through and going, So it totally changed what the haunt was even about. What the sets were for.
That's like Ricky at Castle Blood. Like there's every show, and he does do several a year. Is a different theme and a different task and all of that. It's very interactive. So
that's something that's happened a lot in the last year or two. I mean, there were a lot of Easter haunts this year. Where you had to maneuver through the haunt without being gotten by the creatures, similar to what Dark Hour did with the coin for the leprechaun. I noticed that at several different haunts this year. So I don't know if I see somebody asked about trends. Victor did. Hey, Victor, see you at Midsummer, hopefully. And, I think that's probably going to be a trend, is more interactivity with especially the more popular or the larger haunts in areas that have that reputation. I think there will be more have to negotiate through the corridors without being, attacked, or, it's almost like bringing zombie flag football or something indoors to the haunt.
So it's fun. It's funny you brought that up because, pre-COVID, I went to, because we, would cover show conventions and stuff like that. And I was branching out, and we covered Gamehole Con, which is a board game convention. I know, Gamehole Con, crazy name. However, it's the largest board game convention in the world, and it's in Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. And we were lucky enough to meet the owners of this crazy convention. And he introduced me to a gentleman who owns what they call True Dungeon. Have you ever heard of that, Drew?
In San Francisco?
it's a mobile.
Oh, okay. This is not the plane.
It's a mobile. He goes to conventions, so he like Gen Con is a big one that he goes to, Gamehole Con, and it's a half dozen trailers that come and they set up in a house, and it's literally live Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, cool.
And it actually utilizes haunt characters. There's a scare. They use Scare Factory. They use Gorgalore, and here I am, a haunt guy, walking through this thing, and you buy tokens, and you get tokens as you go through. It's totally interactive, and it's like choose your own adventure.
Ooh.
And it was epic to go through it and see where they were. It's like the haunt industry in the 90s. It's black walls, and then you come in and there's one animatronic and one actor, and it's like, here's how you do it. Roll the dice, and you as a group are trying to beat things. But I was like, well, you could do way more there. You could do way more there. And it was so interactive that I was like, have you ever heard of this? So I was talking to him about haunted house, people and stuff. And he knew a little bit about it, but nobody in the haunt world knows about True Dungeon. And I think, Troy, I think I'm going to reach out to him because I think we should have him on just to talk about interactive haunts and where he's at, because they've been around. I think it was created in 2016 or 2017. But it was epic. Like, I absolutely loved it. And the amount of people that buy the True Dungeon coins to go through it, because you buy coins and you can collect them, and they have different powers. It's just like playing Dungeons and Dragons, but it's live and it's interactive, and you solve puzzles, and I can't talk about it as much, and I always forget to bring it up because there's so much crossover with the haunt industry. There you go. I think I'll reach out to him. I'm forgetting his name at this point, but
would you say that was something that people could start incorporating, like they've got axe throwing or they have the 5-minute escape room?
It's a pot. I mean, and I don't want to steal this dude's thunder because he's got something that nobody else has.
Right, but if he can be hired,
these people love it, and it was something that I was like, oh, if we could come up with a way to, roll dice in a haunt, and you either destroy the character or you're done. You know what I mean? Like, it's totally something that haunted attractions could utilize year round. However, it's already being utilized as a concept already, but there's a possibility that something like that could move itself into haunted houses throughout the year, or sell the concept. One of the two. I mean, look how 90s that is. Look how early 2000s that is.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Took an escape room and really ran with it. It looks like ran with it in this particular direction, which I think is fantastic.
It's such a smart idea.
We might have to steal them before you and put them on our round table.
Right.
The race is on.
We only have one spot open for the rest of the year, so you are.
Alas,
just give me credit. That's all I care about. Just give me credit.
I'll give you We'd like to thank Susie from Haunt Hour for coming up with this idea.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so glad I could be of assistance.
Yes,
that's really cool. Look at that.
Yeah, dude. You guys
that
have
is neat.
Like this video doesn't do it any justice because it's got so much.
So you actually were there on.
Yeah, I went through it because everybody see these are the tokens. So everybody they're poker chips, and they have different. Each one has different powers, and they're rare. And there's like a place before where people sit down, like right here. They're actually buying, tokens.
That's so
buying
cool.
Tokens. Because of their value and stuff like that. And you get some at the end. So, you can trade, and it's just.
So Dan, is this something you can do over and over again, unlike an escape room?
You have to pay to go through it, and it's not. It's definitely got its price. Is it
different every time or no?
Well, it's choose your own adventure, so you can either fail or you can make it.
Okay, yeah, cool.
So
that's cool.
That would be something that kind of back to where what Victor was talking about. Where do you see the haunt industry like going, and that actually, you know what? Hold on. Let's do this instead. Let's do this.
Good interview. Good interlude there.
I tried. So
yeah, that's
Susie,
good. That was good. What is a haunt trend you want to see grow or continue? This question is for Drew.
I would love to see haunts become more immersive.
Can you define that?
Yeah, please.
Like we've said, more lights out type events where you have to navigate through and avoid these creatures and, or have coins or things like that. I like the cottage industry that has kind of formed around them, like axe throwing. Zombie paintball was so big, 7 or 8 years ago. That's kind of fading, but jelly ball is kind of becoming a bigger
jelly
thing.
Ball. I have jelly ball. Troy, I have jelly ball.
Oh, jelly ball.
Yes, we jelly ball.
Well,
Drew, would you suggest immersive, as in putting ketchup on your arms and maybe like touching?
That's a little too immersive for most people, especially if they have hair on their arms.
Okay,
so,
I was just checking.
There's better blood products out there that don't stick. But and when I say immersive, I don't just mean in the haunt itself. I would like to see something that has exploded over the last 10 years are midways.
Yeah.
We're rebuilding our midway. Yes,
well,
I love
there you go.
Yeah.
See, I think back when I was back in the day, you went, you stood in line, you might have an actor out there, looking pretty scary but not talking to you, just kind of like doing their thing. And you just waited in line. There wasn't anything to do. Maybe you had a concession stand, maybe you had a bonfire, but there's so many places now that are building or rebuilding ways that you can put a little upcharge. Last ride coffin rides have been around for a long time, and they're still very popular. Axe throwing, I don't even have to tell you about that. I went to when I went to IAPA in 22, there was probably 6 or 7 separate axe throwing vendors, including Kip Polly, who I thought was pretty cool. He was involved in building axe throwing structures, which was kind of neat if you remember him from Pale Knight.
Oh yeah.
And it was just fascinating to see. I see so many haunts, even down here in the Carolinas. I see haunts that have little monster museums. There's a couple of them in this state where people have, one of the owners of a haunt that I've worked at many times, works in the pyrotechnic industry, so he has worked on the set of a lot of different movies, and he'll get props, and he's got this little monster display, with some of the movies he's worked on, like Hellraiser or some of the others. And there's a lot of people who will display a Dragula, or it's more than just concession stands now. I love the fact that there's DJs playing music and you don't have to wait in line. Time ticketing obviously has revolutionized and almost eliminated the waiting in line, unless you're Farmer Bob's Haunted Trail, which is still too small to really take advantage of it. But I think anybody can take advantage of these things, and people get bored. People have short memories now. They get tired of waiting in line, so they either want to see really good acting, be entertained, have actors interact with them, or they want to go off and do something. Hey, let's go throw some axes. Let's go shopping at the merch table. Let's go play, skee ball or some kind of, they have an arcade over here. Oh, let's go over here and look at all the movie props and get our picture taken with, oh my gosh, the Jeepers Creepers wagon's making a special appearance at the haunt this weekend only. Yeah. So let's go meet the guy and get his autograph and get a picture for a small charge, of course. Right? And I think that's something that's also part of that is so many haunts now. And I see this more in smaller and medium haunts. They're bringing in celebrities during the season. Ari Lehman, who's been on our show many times, the first Jason from the original Friday the 13th, when he was 13-year-old kid, comes out of the water. You've all seen that scene. Did you know he plays in a metal band? He plays guitar and puts on concerts at haunted attractions.
Nope, but I know now.
You know that now. That's a thing you now know. And he makes a pretty darn good living, not just going on the horror circuit. He still acts in movies. He probably still lives off some good royalties from the original Friday the 13th.
Right.
But he also will say, hey, I'll come down for a weekend. I'll sign autographs and, sell my autograph and all that stuff. And I'll put on a concert with my band, First Jason. That's the name of the band.
Original.
It works. He's a very cool guy. But,
branding works.
I met Douglas Tate this past year at a very small haunt in North Carolina. He was doing a personal appearance. I never would have expected to meet someone like Douglas Tate, who is the guy who plays Sasquatch in the Lynx commercials. And I believe was a Michael Myers or something. I can't remember if he was Michael Myers or Jason in one of the movies. I don't remember. But Brett Wagner has made appearances. Naomi Grossman has been on our show many times. She's made appearances. There's a lot of people out there that are making appearances at haunted attractions now because, you can only go to so many conventions during the course of the year. But you can spend an entire weekend at a haunted house and see some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Sell a few autographs, meet a bunch of fans. It's lucrative. And I think that interactive with the paying customer to your haunt is something that needs to grow. And, those folks don't forget where they came from. Those fans that come out and say that. I was working at a haunt in the 2022 season, and we had Naomi Grossman. I was actually her handler because I've known her for over 10 years. And, the owner was like, would you like take her to the hotel and take her to the airport and stuff? And I was like, sure. So I was the person that was like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, when you walk through these doors, we have actress Naomi Grossman from American Horror Story here. And she is selling her autographs, but she will talk to you. Don't just like stare at each other blankly. She'd love to meet you and everything. And people's faces just lit up, especially women. They were like, oh my God, she's my favorite character from American Horror Story. And a lot of the guys were like, not sure who that was until they walked in.
Right.
But it was so cool to watch that. And those people were like, wow, I didn't even know she was here. And there she is. So, lovely lady, dear person. And, I like that. And I like to see that trend continue.
Yeah.
So many people from The Walking Dead rode that gravy train for a long time. Hey, come meet, zombie number 9 from season 6 or something. And hey, he's selling autographs. He knows where his bread's buttered for at least the next year or so. But that's something I'd like to see continue and expand upon. I don't think we've reached that saturation point yet. Because, you asked the question, is it too much out there? Is it too much having off season for Christmas and New Year's and whatever? I don't think we've hit that yet. Like I said earlier with the tattoo industry, nowadays everybody has tattoos. I think there's actually the majority of people in the United States have tattoos than not. And I think the saturation point is probably coming at some point. But Lord, we're going to ride that gravy train as long as we can, right?
Do you think people will get like desensitized in a way where it's not like, because, I know for me and most white girls out there, it's like pumpkin spice season and it's fall and we love our things and we love the weather and all that. And it's like, if it's all year long, does that take away from the specialness of the season is I guess what I'm trying to say.
I feel like it does, but
kind of like putting a 12-foot skeleton out all year round.
Not really, not that, but
see, I see that as the same thing is that it loses its luster because it's out there all year.
That's my question. Haunts,
like I think normals forget haunts are there. Even after like a month.
Yeah, November 1st, they forget that there. We can all look at our analytics and see that the regular Muggle will not even think about Halloween.
They have their tree up. They have their tree up November 1st. I swear to you, half of my friends list on Facebook had their Christmas tree up.
Yep.
November 1st.
Yeah. So
I was still running the haunt because we go into November. So
I think that there's something that I am not a haunt owner.
Right.
I've never been a haunt owner. I am a very much an enthusiast. I run a podcast with 3 other great people, and I own a consulting business. So I see things not from a haunting owner's perspective.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yep.
I think a lot of haunt owners, and please don't not hire me because I say this. So I'm always for hire. rabbitbadger.org. Anyway, I think a lot of haunt owners try to outdo themselves every year. A lot of cases for other haunt owners in the area, as opposed to Joe Sixpack, like you said, who doesn't think about Halloween until October 1st. Mm-hmm. How many times have you, Susie, had a conversation with another haunt owner? Oh my God, I got Rock Monster this year, or I've got the the latest Gorgalore, I've got the latest props from this company, I've got the new Fobbles machine and the Thanos gun and things like that.
Yeah.
And people who go to maybe 1, maybe 2 haunted houses a year don't really care. As long as they go, they get scared, they get entertained. Mm-hmm. And I worry sometimes that some haunt owners aren't really doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it because they want to be the coolest and the biggest and the baddest in their area.
I'll say it. I don't have to worry about somebody coming out.
You say it.
No,
I'll say it.
You're totally correct. I'm definitely guilty of that. I also have to remember that I don't know numbers, but not everybody, like I could probably go 5 or 6 years without changing a thing in my haunt, and most people wouldn't know. And you had said something earlier about how people, their attention spans are short and they don't remember things. I am that person. That is me. You described me to a T. And I think most people are like me. And, my biggest thing is when people walk out of the haunt and we talk to them and they describe a scene we didn't have. They will literally describe something that wasn't in there, and we'll be standing outside of the haunt and they'll be like, oh yeah, that one room where you have that one guy, and they will describe something we don't have. I remember those conversations all the time because so much of it is a part of people's imaginations. And no matter how much you put into it, how much detail, how much thought, people aren't paying attention most of the time. You'll have your people that do, but those are the other haunt owners, like you said.
They'll definitely remember if you take out something that they remember. Oh, if they take out the chainsaw at the end, you're going to get 1,000 people. What happened to the chainsaw? Why is it not here? Because as haunters, we're all tired of chainsaws. It's hackneyed. It's cliched. Admit it, whether you want to admit it or not. We're all tired of chainsaws. But we have to think about the person who's paying their 20, 30, 50 bucks to go in. And if they don't get a chainsaw at the end, they're like, I'm not happy. This was not as good as it was last year. And, are we tired of chainsaws? I think a lot of people are, but
I'm tired of clowns, but they're still there and they work every time for the patrons. I'm not a patron.
They're there for a reason.
Right.
They do.
I'm not
a patron. About that.
I'm not their audience.
I am.
We are not the audience here.
No.
You can put a vortex tunnel in there, and people are walking sideways on that thing, and you could change the whole haunt. And that
absolutely
is amazing. That thing is so amazing. I'm like, what about the $20,000 prop that I just put in this room? Built a whole scene around
the one that I spent 1/2 second looking at before I closed my eyes and ran into the other room.
Exactly.
I say it all the time. The people love the blackout mazes. And you're like, gosh, I didn't do a damn thing in there except paint it black. I mean, it's obviously a maze and you've got to do that, but there's absolutely no detail in this. I can't even tell you the first couple of years we were open and people would come out and we'd be like, so what'd you think about this and that? And they'd go, oh my God, my favorite part was where it was completely black. You couldn't see anything. And I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. You mean the part where there were absolutely no actors and no thought? And we kind of ran out of ideas. So we made it all black, that part. Like literally the first couple of years, we had a spot that we were like, we don't know what to do. Make it black so they have to feel their way around. And they freaking loved it. And you're like, what the hell?
I have this conversation with makeup artists all the time because I've been a makeup artist for over 20 years. And I tell people during my workshops, I don't teach makeup, so don't ask, but I know people who will. But I tell people, look, don't spend 15 minutes on somebody if they're just doing a pop scare.
Absolutely
Don't
not.
spend 10 minutes on somebody that's running a jump panel. And I know people who do this, you know, unless you're putting your own makeup on, more power to you. But if you've got 17 people waiting and it's 6:45, your door's open at 7, and you're trying to get that detail just perfect for somebody that's going to go blah and disappear behind a door. No. You know, at HauntCon in Orlando in 2010, I took a 2-minute zombie class taught by the Wolf Brothers. And that's what I do for makeup now. Yeah. I can, you know, I have done makeup for zombie walks in my area. I can do 15 people an hour with just a little 2-minute makeup job. And they look fantastic for a zombie walk. I don't need the elaborate, you know, put the costume on, give them a machete, whatever. But if you're a Q-line actor, great. Spend all the time you need. If you have great interactivity with the paying customer, you know, fantastic. But if you're just that person in a dark room and you're that shape going across the floor that nobody really sees you, don't spend all that time.
Yeah.
They'll remember who you are, but they're not going to remember what you look like.
Yes.
At all, unless you are super spectacular at your job.
It's true. I do have to. You have to look at it on the other side, though. For a to build up a haunt actor, giving them a really good makeup job will make them work.
Absolutely.
All that more.
Yep.
But you also, you know, there are people who love being drop panel people.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
There are people who love just popping and resetting. That's fantastic. You know, you got to do it for the passion. You can't do it for 100%. The money. Certainly, you don't do it for money in this industry.
Not.
I don't think anybody.
So I think that you know, you can give them a good makeup job in 5 minutes. You really can.
I agree.
You know, you don't have to just spray paint their face white, black out their stuff unless they're just wearing a mask. Or as, you know, a well-named person in this industry said, I'd rather wear a mask because I literally can just black out my eyes in 30 seconds, throw a mask on, boom, I'm the scariest person in the room. Yeah. You know, maybe you're wearing a latex mask, maybe you're wearing $1,000 immortal mask, who knows? But it's all the acting technique behind it that makes you a good actor. It's not the makeup that makes you scary. It's what you do with your body, your movements, all this kind of stuff.
See, and like for my old man character, you know, Wilbur, I can't even talk like him without the mask on. It's so weird. I can't do it.
My son cannot act without a mask. He just can't get into character unless he has a mask on.
So I get that, Dan, of that you put a really good makeup job on them, and you could do it in 5 minutes, like Drew's saying too. But it really does set the person up to be like, okay, this is what I am, this is what I'm doing. If you just throw on some gray base on them because they're going to be a shape in there, they may not understand what their role
just be a shape. Yeah.
Right. So I get both of that. But yes, I mean, definitely if they're not in the front and they're not iconic, don't spend a half an hour on the makeup for sure.
Be memorable as an actor.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. That first year I went to Scarowinds, 2001. Was not an actor yet. This was the first time I'd been inside a haunted house as a paying customer in a long time. Walking around a corridor, going through a U-corner like this, you could see a fake door, and we were like, someone's going to come through that fake door.
Yep.
And sure enough, we get right to the corner, door pops out, guy sticks his head out and goes, how you doing? Shuts the door. And we're just like, did he just say, how you doing, with this very thick New York, New Jersey accent? And we were like, yeah. That's a memorable character that I've remembered since 2001.
Yep.
Gray face paint, red below the eyes, wearing a brown monk's cloak. He had black shoes on. And I remember all this in the maybe 1 or 2 seconds that I saw him, because it was such a memorable thing. It wasn't scary, but it was entertaining and very unexpected.
Yeah.
And the four of us that were there, I could be riding in a car with them now and somebody will go, "How you doing?" And we just all know what we're talking about. And 24 years later now, we're, still that is something super memorable. And, as I tell that story in my workshops, and I was like, if you can't be scary, please be entertaining. Be the how you doing guy here. If you can't be the, mega star that the haunt's based around, you can't be the queue line actor, be the best damn drop panel person you've ever seen, be the best, pop up over the table and go, "Hello," and disappear, something unexpected that will make them laugh, scream, smile. And at the end of the haunt, when they say, "What'd you like about it?" "Well, I thought the how you doing guy was, oh my God, he was amazing."
The what? The who?
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
how you doing down there? I gotta go through the haunt and find this guy.
I'm assuming the how you doing guy is an actual character and probably, scaring people otherwise, but there you go.
So we do have a couple of we actually have several questions before we get on with the other questions. Grant and Corinne kind of want to know, Grant wants to know, have you covered anything really in Canada in your years? And then with that, Corinne wanted to know if you see Canada kind of eventually getting to where America is, or will it stay stale with their stupid import fees and stuff?
I taught an acting class at the Canadian Haunted Attractions Conference in Hamilton, Ontario, maybe 2011. Sadly, that show is no longer around. The Canadian Haunters Association, that show is no longer around. That was Matthew Flagler and Chris Ainsworth owned those. And, Chris is now an elected official, so I hope he'll come back to Transworld at some point. He has a great, great charity haunt in Thornhill, I believe, Ontario. And, I know he's continuing doing that as I'm assuming it's actually just a home haunt, if I'm not mistaken. But it's pretty darn impressive.
It's amazing. It's so detailed.
He stopped.
And Matthew, unfortunately, he dropped out of the scene. I don't know I haven't heard from him in a decade, so I don't know what he does. I would certainly love to see more of a Canadian influence. Daryl Plunkey, from last week was, his stuff in Alberta is pretty darn scary from what I've heard. I haven't done much other than teaching at that. And I went to that convention a couple of years and it was a fun show. They have a very enthusiastic group of people.
Yeah.
But again, it's so small. I believe I remember Matthew saying that basically Canada has about 10% of the haunts that the U.S. has. And the overwhelming majority of them are basically yard displays and home haunts.
Yep. Edmonton has a huge home haunt population now. There's a ton in Edmonton, Alberta. There's a good amount in the Ontario area, like around Chris and stuff. And then there's a huge mass of them in Vancouver, BC.
Yes.
And I think part of the problem is there's so much empty space in Canada between the cities that it's hard to get together. It's hard to have people want to go from like Calgary to Edmonton, or from, you could probably only name 5 or 6 cities in all of Canada, because there's so much empty space up there, and it's really hard to get all those people together. And it costs a lot of money to fly across Canada and to get places like that. It's just, there's so many things working against them, and I hate that.
It's the equivalent of driving from like Washington State to Michigan in a lot of cases, if you want to get to like major population centers.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, that's just the geography. And then, the weather is another consideration. Yep. And, I would love to see the scene get bigger.
Yeah.
I take Canadian money, so, I'd be more than happy to help in any way that I can for any Canadian haunters out there. But I would certainly love to see it. And I don't really know how to go about it other than, build your loyal followings and then work with other haunters. We see these feuds going on between haunters in areas, a lot of times in rural areas, haunt X versus haunt Y, and they'll send their actors over to the other haunt and they'll write a bunch of bad reviews and stuff. It's childish, and it's, I'm not in high school anymore. I haven't been in high school in 40 years. I don't need that,
right.
To deal with that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, there's too much of that, and there's not enough. Well, it's much better than it used to be, but there's not enough haunts coming together and forming like an area where, all the haunts in the area get together. They bring all their actors together, and they do stuff off season, maybe movie nights, or maybe, hey, let's have a big cookout and let's talk about what we're all going to do for the season. And maybe we'll share some props with you guys if you'll share some props with us. And that just builds these, groups, Ohio Haunters Association, Cleveland Haunt Builders, Chicago Haunt Builders, all these, Facebook and social media groups are fantastic because they appear to be doing year-round make and takes and things like that.
Yep.
And I would certainly like to see that happen, a much more, at least on a national scale here. And I certainly think that would definitely benefit anything up in the Great White North. So
I know in Edmonton, they have a big group that does a lot of things together. And then Vancouver, they have that Fright Fest North, or the Fright Fest BC, but they do, they try to get together a little more often too. But that's several hours away from each other, if not almost a whole day. So, I totally agree with you on that though. Kevin wanted to know, what are your thoughts on like bars or refreshments within the queue line of haunts? I know some haunts are
this is a great question. I was excited to see what you had to say about this one.
They're putting them right in the middle of the queue lines.
I can't say that I've ever seen one.
I think Hell's Gate has a bar in the middle.
I have not been to Hell's Gate yet. So
Kevin might
Chicago's not across the street, Dan. I can't just up there. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I live in the Bible Belt, so there's not a lot of alcohol sales in the local haunts where I'm at. I mean, you can always buy a beer at the refreshment stand in certain bigger haunts,
right?
But I don't see a lot of that, so I really don't know. I don't.
Is Kevin talking about like a waitress coming through and taking orders?
No, like halfway through the queue line, there's a bar. I know that we've talked about it.
A lot of haunts like that.
Privately, there are a couple of haunts that are
like
doing
you walk, like the queue line goes across the bar.
Yeah,
there's like
queue line, and you're walking through, hour 2 or whatever of your queue line experience.
Yeah.
If you bought GA, you're walking through a bar, or maybe it's in the VIP.
There's a lot of haunts, not in my area here, but there's a lot of haunts out there that are doing like 3 or 4 bars within the haunt. There's like 5 haunts within the haunt and like several different themed bars you can go to and things like that.
When you say within the haunt, like when I had my haunt, we had a bar inside the haunt, but it was like an employee bar. It was like a secret room.
No.
And that's
No, this is literally okay. So in Pennsylvania, you can't just have alcohol for sale because it's Pennsylvania and you just can't do that.
Yeah, no, it's the stupid weird laws. You
It's
got to go on the
weird.
turnpike to buy hard liquor.
That, but apparently, like I do know, I think 100 Acres Manor has like an actual outdoor bar, but you can only go in there and consume your alcohol in that bar on the premises of the haunt. But like there's so much red tape in my state, and it would be so difficult for me to serve alcohol. I'd have to have a liquor license. I couldn't even like hire somebody to come in and like set up a bar. Like there's so much red tape. I could never do it, but there are haunts that do it somehow. I don't know how 100 Acres does it. They must maybe have a liquor license. I don't know, but like, I think that's what we're talking. But I did hear somebody was telling me, and I think it's an Ohio haunt, but I don't know where, but somebody was telling me that they were at a haunt and there were like 5 different haunts. They said it was amazing. It was like 5 haunts within this, but there were several bars you could go to and drink at during the night in your experience.
As an actor at a theme park, I hated the alcohol sales.
Right.
Same.
Because there was nothing worse than drunken patrons just thinking, well, I've paid my $39.95 to come in and I've had a couple of beers. Let's go mess with the actors a little bit. What could possibly go wrong? Well, an awful lot could possibly go wrong. I have had many, many items just randomly thrown at me, from pennies to basketballs. It was a theme park. We gave those away as prizes. You know, if you're female, there's not a female actor out there that can't give you a story about groping or inappropriateness. There's probably not a single one out there if you've worked in this business a long time. And
or a season.
I'm trying to remember, it might have been Alex from Reindeer Manor that said, not all drunks are or not all problems are drunks, but all drunks are problems.
That's
he said that on our show one time several years ago when he was on our roundtable, and I have yet to sing that being disproven. You know, I've had issues with people coming up just to mess with actors, and you know, I've been fortunate enough to have people escorted off the premises because they thought it would be fun to try to steal a weapon out of my hand, or you know, spit in the face of the person next to me, or things like that. You know, being assaulted is a very real problem for people working in haunted attractions. And just because you've had a few beers either out in the parking lot or on the premises does not give you the right to do that. Nor is the fact that you've paid an awful lot of money, that does not give you the privilege to mess with actors. Go scream. You know, if you have to accidentally throw your arms up and hit somebody, you know, we understand that. But to say, hey, cute girl, honk, honk, you know, and then walk away. And I've actually seen that happen. You know, that is
the weird thing for me is that me being, I'm not tall, I'm 5 foot tall. And when I queue line act, the women that literally assault me, is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think there's a lot of people that think I'm a teenager because I'm so small. And I think that they think I'm some teenager they can put their hands on, but I can't tell you how many people have assaulted me as a queue line actor. It's unbelievable. And I like, how many times I want to break character and be like, listen, bitch, I own this place and I will throw you the fuck out of here. Like, I want to say it so bad, but I always just kind of like, you know, leave. But it's
do it in character.
The weirdest thing. I've done it in character, but it's just the weirdest experience I've ever had in my life where I've been treated that way. It's just so weird how people think they can do that, whether they're drunk or not. But it's just so weird to me that I just don't get it. But I don't want to add alcohol into the mix anyway. So
all I'll say is I'm just not a big fan of alcohol at haunted houses. I think it's it's probably necessary these days in certain cities and things where they kind of expect it, but I don't think it's a necessary thing on a national scale.
I think the idea is that if they haven't pre-gamed, and that was I believe it was Johnny, I think, or I know somebody this year we had on already was talking about this, that if you don't have alcohol, they're going to do it in the parking lot. They're going to do it
in the parking lot
all the time. That happens all the time.
If you have it at your haunt and they know it's there, they will then start drinking at your place, and the drunk part hasn't started yet. By the time they're out of your building, then the drinking has become a problem, but they're gone. So
they're driving on the highway under the influence.
Right. And then there's the liability of that, because every bar owner knows if they leave my bar and they are drunk and they get into an accident, I'm in trouble for that. You know,
and if that happens here, the only thing people are going to see is the fact that he was at a haunted house.
Yep.
That's it. Doesn't matter if he was at 5 bars. They will say in their news article, he had just left this haunted house, and people are going to think, I'm not taking my kids there. I'm not,
absolutely.
I'm not going ever.
Like Kevin was talking about I actually went through Terror Roulette with him in October, and it was a brand new haunt. It's very super interactive. Like, it's literally it's sort of choose your own adventure, but it's very interactive, very immersive. And you walk right in the front, you're in the little queue line, and there is a bar, and you can order one drink, and that's it. You cannot order
one drink's all it takes for me, though. You got to remember.
Well, true. I mean, there's people with very low and very high alcohol tolerances for sure.
Right.
And so you can go through with you have to drink it before you go in the haunt, but it's I don't like that it's a necessary thing, like Drew was saying, but I understand that there are places where it is expected, and they don't, everywhere that they go that's an event has alcohol. And
yes, and I think it hurts some haunts that don't have it, and I think mine is included in that because I don't have that. We do, however, have a new brewery being built like 3 blocks from us, literally walking distance. So could that help us? Possibly.
But you might also get the pregame. So they've been over there drinking, then they come to your place.
I don't think alcohol on the premises is a good idea.
I don't either.
It's a bad rap for the haunt industry. It's a bad rap for you. Nothing ever good comes from it. Let them drink in the parking lot, and it's their own damn problem.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Let's see. Kevin also wanted to know, do you prefer a blackout maze or a white room with strobes and fog? So black or super bright white?
In all honesty, I hate pure blackout mazes. I have terrible night vision. These glasses are rather thick. So I'm sitting here, doing this, have my elbow out, trying to follow the wall on the right side every time I go in one. And, I love a particular haunt in North Carolina, but they have a blackout maze that has little electrical panels around and will deliver a tiny shock. No names.
Love it.
But I hate going through that section. And, I've been in some very well done dark rooms, not completely black, with just real dim lights, maybe a couple of mini spotlights or whatever. Yep. Those are great. But I would much rather prefer being in a room full of fog with strobes, blinding white, as you mentioned. Yeah. If I had a choice, I would go into one of those, because I think that's also very disorienting. You walk out of that and suddenly you're in the dark again. So your night vision is gone, especially if you're walking a trail and you have to enter a tent that's done. There's a great haunt down South Carolina that used to have a tent in the middle of the trail that was filled with fog and filled with bright lights. And, by the time you get your night vision in, you walk into that tent, you walk out of it, you can't see again because you've lost your night vision. And by the time it takes you to adjust your eyes again, every monster on both sides is on the other side of the door is after you now. So, I would prefer those.
Okay.
Personal opinion.
I will kind of shorten this a little bit in just that. What is one tip that you would give an actor that is really struggling and needs, you want to keep them, they're great, but you want to get them up to that next level? What's like one piece of advice that you would give that actor?
Ask the actor.
A beating.
Ask the actor where they want to work. There's a lot of actors that get placed in places they don't necessarily like, and they're going to give you that amount of effort. I don't want to be behind a drop panel, so I'm just going to give you drop panel effort. So ask them, do you want to be a queue line actor? Well, if you do, you got to serve your time in the drop panel, and you've got to prove to me that you can handle being a queue line actor by being the best drop panel actor in the tri-state area. And that a lot of times will motivate somebody. Well, if maybe not this year, but next year, I could be out there doing queue line, but I got to get through drop panels this year. And a lot of times it's that motivational factor of the promise of something bigger and better. And please deliver on that promise by at least giving them a shot doing something. Maybe the guy wants to run a chainsaw. Maybe the girl wants to run a chainsaw because it's cool chasing people, and you think they would be better here. My first job at a haunted house at Scarowinds, I was basically a greeter. I hated it, but literally within 2 hours of the first night of me working there, they were like, you have talent that needs to be better utilized, and they put me in a better place, and I stayed in that place the rest of the season. Being a greeter was fine. It wasn't particularly scary, but they moved me into a much better place, and I got better scares. I got better reputation of being a pretty scary thing at this, and people would say there's something at the end of this corridor. And for people who'd gone through before, and not tooting my own horn here, But when Paramount owned that park, and I did not know this, the vice president of Paramount, not the vice president of Paramount Theme Parks, the vice president of Paramount came through the park and told our supervisors that the spot that I was working that night was the creepiest spot he had seen in any of the Paramount parks that season to date.
Nice.
My head got, Troy sized at that point, and I was just like, yes, that's awesome. I can do things in this business, maybe. So yes.
So I want to add to that question.
Oh, okay.
Let's say if you have a C/D actor that thinks that they're an A actor, how do you professionally talk that person? Like, what would you do in a situation like that? How would you make sure that actor understands where he stands in the hierarchy / understanding where he is in the haunt, that he's not that good? Would you say, you know where I'm going with this, right?
You don't ever tell it. I would never tell an actor they're not that good. I've seen a lot of really bad actors. I was one for a long time, I thought. But you never tell an actor they're bad because they just won't show up the next week. They're gone. You'll never see them, which may be a mixed blessing. Maybe that's awesome, but you may be 5 short that night, and oh my gosh, now this 6th person is gone forever. And that's becoming a bigger problem over the last few years.
It's a problem in every industry across everywhere.
Again, stressing the importance of, I liken it to a 3-legged stool. A haunted house is like a 3-legged stool. One leg is the set design, the props, animatronics, whatever you're spending the money at the trade shows. The next leg is the atmosphere, the fog, the sound, the music. The third leg is the acting. And you have to have all 3 of those working, or that stool's going to fall over, ergo your haunt's not going to be that effective. I've been in some haunts that have amazing animatronics and their actors are crap. Conversely, I've seen, I've seen 800 square foot mill houses with haunted actors in there that were so enthusiastic and so amazing that I had better times walking 10 minutes through one of these little places than I did in these giant mega haunts in big cities.
St. Louis.
But no names.
I didn't say a name. I just said
no names. But and I've acted at some of those haunts too. But you never tell them that they're bad. You tell them that there's always room for improvement. But what if they're
already the greatest? That's what I'm saying. Like, this guy thinks.
I'll tell you this.
This will be my haunt line, that Q line actor, and he's not. The guy's not good at all.
When I start a workshop, when I start an acting workshop, I tell people this will be my 47th year acting at haunted attractions, not continuously. If you think you've seen it all, you haven't. I learn something brand new every single night I work. I don't care if it's Farmer Bob's Haunted Trail or if I'm working at Netherworld, and I've worked at both. I see something I've never seen before every night. I learn something every single night that I'm out there. And you can't have, this is an ego-driven business. Let's admit it. Everyone who owns, everyone who acts, we all have an ego. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't enjoy watching people scream and wet their pants and other things and go running away from us. But you cannot have that ego and saying, I've been here 10 years. I'm the greatest actor at this haunt. Maybe you are, but what does that say about the quality of the other actors?
Right.
If you're the best person in your mind anyway, I could probably find 5 other people who would be better than you at what you're doing. I basically just encourage them. And I stress this to whether or not you're a 10-year actor, whether you're a first year, every position is important. You're all a cog in the wheel. You're all a leg on that stool. Without you, the person writing the checks, isn't making money. And as somebody in this industry says, once you run out of money, you don't get to play anymore.
I know who that guy is.
Yeah, most of us do. If you want to continue working at a haunted house, you got to have good actors. You got to have good props. You got to have good atmosphere. It's really that simple. Yeah. I think a lot of people try to complicate that a bit. But I think that, as a haunt actor for 40 plus years, I try to be as humble as I can, especially if I'm going into as a freelance actor at a new haunt. I ask those actors, teach me, what do you do in this scene? What do you do in that scene? Because I've never worked at your haunt before, and I want you to help me learn your system. And I think that constructive criticism, and I think that also feeds their ego slightly, but I think, it makes everybody a better actor in that case. I know that's a long way to get around to come to that point, but
and then as an actor, they can catch fire and they can be amazing,
or they can catch fire and you can put them out and throw them away. Fire.
I was waiting for something in his answer, and I was like,
something. Drew, this is the time of the show where we fire 5 rapid fire questions at you, and you answer them as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
No, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Are you sure? Are you ready?
I'm pretty sure I'm not ready, but go ahead.
Okay, here we go. All right. Questions have changed since last year to this year. First question. What is your opinion of the perfect length of a haunted attraction? Time-wise.
25 to 35 minutes.
Oh, I love that answer. Every time I love it. Go ahead.
Next question. Latex or silicone?
Wish I could afford silicone. But you got to go with latex because it's more affordable to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Okay. Question number 3. Dan or Troy?
Dan, of course. Short beards with a bit of gray. Awesome. Not like those goatee people that I used to have for a long time.
We got to stick together. We just got to stick together.
There you
go.
Actually, can I choose Susie?
Yes. Yes.
Wait, you already chose. Yes. You can't. There's no take backs.
Yeah.
No, Susie. He's taking it back.
Susie.
Way to go, Drew. What a guy. I didn't even get the next question out, so I'll let it slide.
Thank you.
It's been marked. It's in ink.
Is Susie, is this your first one this year?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay, yes. So you're tied.
Is it?
You're tied with Daryl?
She's actually tied with Daryl.
That's good.
That's awesome. All right. Question number 4. Zombies or vampires?
Vampires.
And the last question, facade or final scare?
In what's the context?
Of a haunted house.
Haunted attraction.
What's better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Final scare.
What do you prefer?
Final scare. People remember the final scare more than they do the facade.
We were actually just talking about this at the haunt I went to on Saturday. They had an amazing facade. They had a good final scare, but I was like, and I actually likened it to Dark Hour. Dark Hour has this big building with a Dark Hour sign in the middle. It's definitely just a building. I walked up to Afterlife, and it was this creepy old cabin with these 2 buttresses on the side. There was windows broken out with lights in it and fluttering curtains and stuff like that. Immediately set me in the mood that I was, and it was like in this field. Immediately got me immersed into, I'm at a haunted house. I'm in this. Granted, Dark Hour, you walk in the door and it's haunt. But outside that door, it's a building with a sign.
Some of my favorite haunted attractions are in shopping centers or nondescript buildings, Dark Hour being one of them.
Yep.
But the people that do facades, their interiors are going to be freaking amazing because if they put that much attention in the facade, they've put even more attention inside.
Yeah.
And it was.
So,
that's exactly
you can't lose either way, but I remember more final scares than I do facades.
Shane wants to do number 6. Animatronics or actors?
Shane can't do no. Hey, take him off of there.
There's
only 5 questions.
I am
5 questions. Shane, you're gonna have to submit.
Take him off of there.
You're gonna have to submit.
Submit.
Hey now.
You can send all questions to Drew Badger at bigscaryshow.com.
Speaking of,
please don't do that.
You can actually hire the man.
Yes, you can, Susie.
I know.
This
is directed at me.
No, it's directed at anybody.
Yep.
Susie.
Yep. So you can take rabidbadger.org. You can
That's
hang
right.
That. You can find that, and we'll put that.
Just
down
contact
here.
me through the website if you are interested in having a workshop. I've already got the highest number of clients that I've had since 2016, and my regulars haven't even contacted me yet. I usually don't get calls. I usually don't start getting calls until June, but after Transworld, I already had 5, and I'm now up to 7. So I'm like, there's not that many weekends that I work and do this. So, I've got some going on weeknights and stuff now. So, best thing to do is contact me early and let's chat. First consultation's always free. So,
and of course you can check out. Actually, one of the questions that we had, and it plays right into this is, if I can find it, how often is the Big Scary Show on? Do you have like a selective date of when things come out, or is it random?
Oh, that's right. I'm also with the Big Scary Show as the background of your podcast. The podcast logo has been sitting there the whole time. So, wow. Yes, I do work with a podcast, and the podcast puts out content weekly.
Okay.
Regular shows, which are about 2+ hours long, come out every other Saturday, normally, assuming Jim gets everything produced and put out there. Sometimes it's Sunday if he's busy, or if there's issues, which are few and far between. But every other Sunday, we had a new show come out last Saturday.
Yeah.
So check that out. It's part 2 of Transworld, and we had Chris from Transworld talk about the upcoming East Coast convention in our Roundtable of Terror.
Yeah.
And in the succeeding weeks, we have what's called Big Scary News, which is just basically a 30-minute roundup of all the latest stuff, especially since there's no dead times of the year anymore. Troy.
Sorry. My bad.
And we tend to have.
I'll be listening to the roundup there, so I can get all the news.
Getting some ideas.
There you go. And Big Scary News also has what is a as we say, a longer form interviews. Interviews that go usually above 10 or 15 minutes.
Right.
Because we do try to keep it within 30 minutes. It's a very short kind of, if you have a convention going on in 3 weeks and you just send me that information, I can't necessarily wait 2 weeks to put it on the next show. So that's why we started Big Scary News about a year into Big Scary Show's run. I think episode 312 is up now for the regular show. I think episode 280 will be coming up for Big Scary News this Thursday. So every other Saturday, every other Thursday. So yeah, we have a lot of them, don't we? And we don't have a better way of
7,077,000.
And you're on iTunes.
We're on all the streaming services: the Spotify's, the iTunes, the Stitcher, the Amazon. I haven't found one that we're not on yet. Although at a lot of conventions that aren't necessarily haunt related that we're vending at, people are like, "Well, are you on this service?" I'm like, "I think so. Why don't you look and see?" And then they'll call it up, and I was like, "Well, why don't you just hit that subscribe button right there?" And boom. Unfortunately, we don't get the numbers for those, but I'm assuming at least half of our audience is now probably, if not more, listening to us straight off the streaming services. Big Scary News is not available on streaming at this point, just the regular shows.
Okay.
So,
all right.
For anybody that wanted to know that information.
I put the links down in the chat here for people as they're looking on there, but we'll put it on the website on the Facebook page. Kevin wants to know from 1942 if he can put it on his Zune.
Oh wow! Let me send a Morse code to Susie or Sarah at the old operating station and see if we can make that happen. I don't know. I don't do the producing. Too. That's a Jim question right there. You'll have to talk to Meat Hook Jim about that.
You can actually just download the episode off of their website that I posted. You can just literally download it and you can play it on whatever you want as well. So yes, you could put it on your Zoom, Kevin.
and then join the 21st century, hopefully.
right.
I think I still have a Pono. No, I don't.
No. Susie hates this part, so I'm just going to keep it going because I absolutely love it. There are only 205 days left till Halloween, which for haunt owners means there's 7 days till haunt season.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much it.
Halfway to Halloween starts in about 3 weeks for a lot of haunts out there.
Yeah, told you.
A lot of which you'll hear about on this week's Big Scary News.
See?
I think we got to talk about what's on next week.
What? It's more like who.
Oh,
are you ready? Are you ready?
I am. I'm totally ready.
No,
are you ready for this?
I'm not. Go.
Oh,
Melissa is returning. Oh yes. So we will have Melissa on. Who knows? I only live 20 minutes away from her now. So
no.
Do I feel like there's gonna be one of these like Inception things going on?
Yeah.
Oh, look at my new studio. Oh, hey.
Oh, look. Why is Melissa Winton walking behind me? That's weird.
That's weird.
Let's interview her.
Do you have a few moments for some questions, Melissa?
Oh my God.
Why, yes, I do.
Join us same time tomorrow, or tomorrow, Tuesday. Next week. Same dark, big, and scary
Look,
channel.
let's just try. We're just going to mute you. Drew, thanks for coming on tonight. I
Always a
appreciate it.
Pleasure, gentlemen and ladies.
Fantastic having you on. It was great talking with you. You're very knowledgeable. I hope we can get some more people out there so you can spread your knowledge to everybody in the haunt industry, because you have a wealth of knowledge that everybody could utilize. So
rabbitbadger.org. Check it out today. But yes, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Not a problem. Glad to have you here. And then thank you everybody for watching. It's been a fantastic haunt hour. We will see you guys next Tuesday, 8:00. And I think that's all I got tonight. So good night, all.
Good night.